The American Civil War was the deadliest conflict ever fought on U.S. soil. It wasn't a war between countries, it was a war between Americans. It was a clash of ideals, economies, and the future of human freedom. From 1861 to 1865, the United States was split in two: the Union, the North, and the Confederacy, the South. The war claimed over 620,000 lives, ended slavery, and changed the course of U.S. history. The North and South had very different economies and values. The North was industrialized and largely opposed the expansion of slavery. The South relied on agriculture, especially cotton, and depended heavily on enslaved labor. As the U.S. grew westward, debates erupted over whether new states would allow slavery. The South feared that losing influence would threaten their way of life. Remember to like and subscribe for more historical insights. In 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected president. Though he promised not to interfere with slavery where it already existed, the South saw his victory as a threat. Between December 1860 and June 1861, 11 Southern states seceded from the Union and formed the Confederate States of America, with Jefferson Davis as president. The war begins. On April 12, 1861, Confederate forces fired on Fort Sumter in South Carolina. The Civil War had begun. The war was fought in hundreds of battles across the country. Here are a few of the most important, bloodiest single day in United States military history. Over 22,000 casualties gave Lincoln the momentum to issue the Emancipation Proclamation, turning point of the war. Union victory stopped Confederate General Robert E. Lee's invasion of the North, inspired Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, gave the Union control of the Mississippi River, split the Confederacy in two, final battle where Lee surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant, marked the end of major combat. On January 1, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, declaring all enslaved people in Confederate-held territory free. It did not immediately end slavery, but it redefined the purpose of the war, from saving the Union to ending slavery. It also allowed black men to join the Union Army, and over 180,000 served, many bravely on the front lines. The Civil War officially ended on April 9, 1865, when General Lee surrendered to General Grant at Appomattox Court House. Just 5 days later, on April 14th, President Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer. He died the next morning, becoming the first U.S. president to be assassinated. The war ended slavery, but it didn't end the struggle. The 13th Amendment, passed in 1865, abolished slavery. The 14th and 15th Amendments granted citizenship and voting rights to formerly enslaved people. The South entered a turbulent time called Reconstruction, which included attempts to rebuild, resist, and redefine equality. Many former Confederate states resisted integration, leading to racial segregation, violence, and discrimination that continued for generations. The American Civil War was a war of identity and ideals. It tested whether the United States could survive divided. It resulted in freedom for millions, the preservation of the Union, and laid the foundation for the long fight toward civil rights and true equality. It remains one of the most studied, debated, and remembered chapters in American history. Not just for what was lost, but for what was won.